Welcome to Rockin' the Ages, set in the heart of the beautiful Okanagan in British Columbia with your host, Cheryl Soleway. Life is like a game of hockey. There are fast breaks, sudden shifts, hard hits, and moments of pure exhilaration. To play well, we need more than strength. We need resilience, confidence, and a plan that's always changing for every period of the game. Rocking life at any age takes more than just push ups, cardio, or muscle strength. It's about sharpening the mind, fueling the body, and learning how to adapt and thrive through every period. There are 7 essential keys that unlock a life of energy, joy, and purpose. Through inspiring stories, practical wisdom, and a touch of grit, Rocking the Ages is here to remind you that the later chapters of life aren't a time to slow down. They're a time to play bigger, stronger, and smarter. So lace up, lean in, and get ready to discover how to truly rock the ages. Hi, and welcome to Rocking the Ages, Episode 1. If I was your trainer. I'm Cheryl Soleway, and in this, my first episode, I hope to spend a little bit of time introducing myself. Hey, I know from my own ADHD that it won't take long before you're all saying, come on, let's get on with it. I began teaching aerobics. Yep, that was me in the 80s wearing some pretty bad outfits. Think headbands and leg warmers. We were rocking it out to Let's Get Physical and flash dancing. Well, certainly some leftover disco. It was a good time. It was also the beginning of a new fitness wave and an incredible era that was just getting started. And I certainly jumped on that wave and I got ready for the ride. Well, in 1986, I earned my degree in physical therapy from the University of Saskatchewan. My goal at the time was to be one of the first female trainers in the NHL. Well, in the late 80s, I got my first chance to work in the NHL. I was hired by the Vancouver Canucks hockey team. I was hired to basically come and be their warm-up coach for the first 3 weeks of their preseason. They believed that the players were coming into their training camp not really as physically ready as what they thought they needed to be or should be. I mean, it was the 80s. Well, although my contract with the Canucks was only for 3 weeks, I decided to move to Vancouver. Well, this move resulted in a need for me to find a place to live and also the need for a roommate. Well, the next thing that I knew, I was sharing a basement suite in Kitsilano with a girl from the gym. Her name was Pamela Anderson. Yeah, that Pamela Anderson. Well, I quickly found opportunity and I opened 2 sports physiotherapy clinics in downtown Vancouver. In the 90s, my physiotherapy brain and my passion for teaching functional fitness, it made me a very popular presenter in the fitness industry. And I found myself enjoying presenting at conferences around the world. I was also starring in numerous fitness videos, especially stability ball videos, as that was an area that I specialized in. Well, by the late 90s, the Detroit Red Wings had caught a glimpse of the core and the stability ball training that I was doing. And they called on me to come to their summer rookie development camps. They wanted me to be a voice of a functional fitness coach so that it wasn't all about strength training and getting bigger. Well, fast forward quite a few years, and in some ways, so much has changed. And in other ways, well, very little has changed. I'm still teaching. But I have to say that my participants are a little older and a little wiser, just like me. I have learned a lot through my experience in this ever evolving industry. And now at 64 years of age, I'm reflecting on that journey and I'm asking myself, what have I truly learned and what would I do differently? My grandma passed at 102. So if I basically have 40 years left to go, I think I better have a plan. Well, I know a little bit about fitness, but I do not know a whole lot about aging, and I need help. I see life to be played very much like a hockey game. Hockey is a game of definitely a physical skill, and it's a game of endurance. And it's also very much a game of strategy and plays and playmaking and mental toughness. I think an interesting takeaway is that regardless of how well or not a player has played in the first or even the second period, it's the third period, I think, where the game is actually won or lost. Hey, a 3-0 lead can quickly evaporate if players take their foot off the gas. Well, to me, life is like that. Several years ago, 2014 to be exact, I had the honor of presenting at the IDEA conference in San Diego. IDEA is one of the largest fitness conferences in the world, and I was already viewing fitness differently. I felt that fitness needed to make more sense. So, for that event, I had prepared a poem. Well, I would like to share that poem with you now, because coincidentally, the title of the poem is called If I Was Your Trainer. And it goes like this. If I was your trainer, we would start off with a walk. I would check your pulse and heart rate, but mostly we would talk. You would want to be in your best shape, so I might have to hide that your ageless time was beautiful because you got it from inside. You see, fitness is so not about the pounds you gain or lose. It's not about the race you ran, the weights or reps you choose. The secret, it's been hidden well. The mystery to all youth, just look at your posture, because it's there you'll find the truth. Now, I did not learn this overnight. I tried each fad and craze. I jumped, I stepped, I slid, I posed. Oh man, those were the days. But an aha moment, as Oprah says, I still recall the day when a voice within was loud and clear that fitness is the way. If we can age with grace and charm, forget what we've been told. We don't have to kill ourselves to ensure that we grow old. So here's my pledge, my sacred oath, and I hope that you'll agree. We'll train all right, but just enough that we can squat to pee. Okay, so humor intended, but I do have to say that the physiotherapy brain in me, well, it's always looked for the functional elements in fitness. In fact, I've relied on it. So, hey, if I was your trainer, we would start off with a walk, but it wouldn't take me long to tell you about at least 7 essential keys that I know are an integral part of rocking the ages. The first key is actually your mental attitude. It's your mental health or your mental fitness. How much have you thought about that? How much have you thought about aging, and do you have a strategy? Well, there's a saying, failure to plan is planning to fail. So our third period starts with making a mental decision to evaluate what we need to do to play well until that final buzzer goes. So for key number 1, let's be absolutely sure that your mental health is healthy. Is there anything that you can be doing to better connect your mind to your body? Have you tried meditating, or do you enjoy yoga? Those are 2 great examples of connecting mind and body and practicing it. Is there anything that you need to unpack? So, any mental burdens from your past that you should be dealing with? There's never a wrong time to seek therapy or a life coach. And perhaps right now is the very best time in your life to be really paying attention to your mental fitness. The second most important key is your gut health. Yes, your gut. Your gut isn't just about digestion. Your gut is a central player in your immune system, your mood, your energy levels, and even in your brain function. In fact, your gut is often called your second brain because of the way that it communicates with your entire central nervous system. When your gut is in balance with a diverse, healthy community of bacteria. It supports your nutrient absorption. It helps to reduce inflammation. It helps to regulate your hormones. Important. When your gut is out of balance, it can lead to a whole cascade of issues such as fatigue or bloating, joint pain, skin conditions, poor sleep, brain fog, and even anxiety or depression. Now, here's the thing. As we get older, our gut microbiome, it naturally shifts, even daily, often daily. Diet, stress, medications, and lifestyle, they all play a role in the health of our gut. You've probably noticed that your metabolism has changed, sometimes drastically or dramatically, and what used to work just no longer does. So that's why it's more important than ever to nurture our gut with fiber rich foods, prebiotics, probiotics, and maybe fermented options like yogurt or kimchi, and to minimize, if not eliminate, processed foods and unnecessary sugars and chemicals. So, shopping the perimeter of the grocery store and kind of avoiding the aisles. For me, in my 60s and now postmenopausal years, I can share that my gut health needed to adapt and it needed to make fairly significant changes during three pretty distinct periods in my life. Initially, it was during my teens. During my teens, I had severe stomach pain and, well, basically constipation, processed foods, probably. Well, it took seeing a specialist to get the simple solution of taking Metamucil for a few months, or I think I took it for about a year. Hormones and habits, they're going to wreak havoc on a teen's gut. It shouldn't catch us by surprise. My second major shift was in my peri and menopausal years. So in my mid 40s, I suddenly was not digesting gluten the way that I had for the first 45 years of my life. And on came the proverbial wheat belly. It took a while for me to figure it out. I mean, it was like, why? Why now? In hindsight, once again, it's obvious how much of an impact hormones, and stress have on gut health. Well, by eliminating bread for starters, so toast from my breakfast and then bread from my usual lunch of sandwiches, pasta or pizza, and even rice from my dinner options, I found it a relatively easy fix. So for about a year, I tried hard to eliminate gluten, but mostly bread because that was the easiest to identify from at least two of my meals, if not all three, and bam, my metabolism shifted. Don't blame the gym if that belly fat is a problem. Now, one of the most obvious indicators of your gut health is your regularity, or more bluntly put, your poop. You are meant to poop at least once, if not twice, every day. There's a great visual that suggests we should be able to poop like a dog. Well, take a second to visualize. Visualize how quickly a dog will typically get its business done. They don't take 10 minutes to poop. When they're ready, in a few seconds, they get her done. So if you're not pooping regularly, you need to be on a mission. You need to figure out why. What did you eat yesterday? And be committed to fixing it. Well, the third stage or third time I had to check in, it was my late 50s, early 60s. And like many women, I experienced significant drops in my estrogen levels. I experienced new and relentless joint pain, and especially in my hips, on my low back, and as well as recurring tendinitis. And again, I had a hard time of figuring out why and why now. I finally put together the connection between estrogen and inflammation. And I began a religious routine of drinking a morning cocktail. That sounds kind of nice. Well, it was a morning cocktail of prebiotics, probiotics, green superfoods, big dash of cinnamon, and a heaping scoopful of bovine. Yes, bovine collagen for the health of my muscles and tendons. For me, this routine has provided amazing results. And today, even though I'm super active, I have minimal joint or muscle pain. And I have to say that I think I'm stronger than ever. Bottom line is your gut health is ever changing. And to rock your third period, you need more than ever to pay attention to how you nurture it. So, what's key number 3? Well, key number 3 is actually posture. How often have you really thought about your posture? Well, we're held on this earth by gravity 24/7, 60 minutes of every hour and 60 seconds of every minute. So, guess what? You are always in a posture, even when you're sleeping. Posture is about the way you carry yourself, but it's also about the way you choose to position yourself, even when you're at rest. Now, my aha moment happened way back in 1994 when it comes to posture. I was attending another very large fitness conference, this time in Anaheim. And at the opening ceremonies, I was a little late arriving for the keynote speech in a room of about 3,000 attendees. So from where I was sitting, it was difficult to see the stage. I was watching for the most part on the big screens that they had set up around the room. Well, suddenly my ears perked up when I heard the speaker say that at 60 years of age and after raising 8 kids, and I went, wait, what? Wait, what? You know, sure, I couldn't see her all that clearly, but in my mind, I had her pegged as being, you know, somewhere in her 30s. And it was like, what the heck? What the heck was it about her? And then I suddenly wrote down 2 things, and I will never forget it. I seriously wrote down, when I grow old, I'm going to have red hair. I swear, every redheaded woman just seems to defy aging. And I wrote down, it's her posture! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. It was like a lightning bolt had hit me. This woman truly was ageless, timeless, beautiful. And it was all about the way she was carrying herself. You can have a face full of wrinkles and thinning gray hair, but if you have good posture, you will never look old a day in your life. Well, as part of my physical therapy training, we studied various postures closely. We studied the pros and the cons of the different postures and how over time, if not corrected, could and would worsen. Let me give you an example. I want you to think Santa Claus. Santa Claus has a typical kyphotic, lordotic posture type. And as a young man, his tight low back and his tight hip flexors, they would have gone unnoticed. But over time, where something is tight, something else is being lengthened. And anything lengthened over time will naturally weaken. Think stretching a rubber band and holding it stretched for a few minutes or hours. Well, stretched over time, that elastic band will lose its elasticity and weaken. Kyphotic lordotic posture types tend to have a tight low back and conversely elongated abs. And hence, Santa Claus. Santa Claus ended up with a big and rather weak belly. And it wasn't all from overeating. Learning about your posture and how to exercise specifically for your posture type can really make a difference, especially as you age. If you have a kyphotic lordotic posture type, you will tend to need to fight a tight low back, tight hip flexors, and a bulging belly all your life. You'll need a strategy. If you have a flat back posture, you may be pretty lucky with relatively strong abs, but you'll have what we call a mushy tushy, and you'll constantly need to both stretch and strengthen your glutes and your hamstrings. If you have a sway back posture, you're going to want to always focus on keeping your thoracic spine supple and mobile and your shoulders in front of your chest stretched and open. Early understanding and an early proactive strategy is essential. Don't wait another day to focus on your posture. With key number 4, we're still not necessarily heading to the gym. With key number 4, we're going to be focusing on your ability to move. Your ability to move is dependent upon your mobility and flexibility. What's the difference? You might be asking. Well, the difference is mobility refers to how well your joints move and how well your joints function. So, your spine, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet, and your shoulders. Keeping your joints as mobile as possible is absolutely critical to your ability to enjoy being active, and particularly in your third period. A question for you: how often do you pay attention to your feet? I hope after following me, I can convince you that you need to care for your feet every single day, and ideally from the very first minute that your feet hit the floor in the mornings. If your feet aren't happy, every joint above them can and will be in jeopardy. Aside from stretching and mobilizing your feet, it is also more important than ever in this third period to commit to wearing really good footwear. Not ugly footwear, just really good footwear. Hey, here's a great joint mobility and flexibility test. See if you can fully squat into what we call a tribal squat. To accomplish this, you need ankles that fully flex, knees that fully bend, and hips that fully open, and muscles around each of these joints that are flexible enough. This is a posture that you should be able to do all your life, kind of barring injuries. It's not something you can't do just because you're old. Mobilizing your joints use some pretty different techniques from what you might be used to. So, hey, I may not know a whole lot yet about aging, but I do know quite a bit about how to improve your mobility, and I will load you up with tons of options. As often as you can, regardless of where you are, I would like you to consider, for example, stretching your legs while you brush your teeth, or while you're at the kitchen counter, or, perhaps while you're talking on the phone. It's all about the little habits. Next, we have key number 5. And still, I have to say that you're not necessarily heading to the gym. What's with this girl? She never goes to the gym. That's not true. But key number 5 is about finding ways to strengthen your body. But it starts with the premise that first you must simply be strong enough. Yeah, just strong enough. And that strength needs to start in the smaller muscles that you might not have ever even heard of them. And you certainly may not have ever noticed them in the mirror. As a group, we call these muscles your core muscles. Your core, though, is so much more than just your abs. Common misconception. I want you to think of your core as like the foundation when we build a house. A house is going to start with a very well thought out concrete foundation, and followed with the framing that works its way upwards, and then trusses that provide the stability from above. And all that wonderful foundational strength gets covered up as the house build continues, or what makes the house look pretty. The muscles that keep your spine and your hips and your shoulders healthy are typically deep. They build the foundation so that your arms and legs can safely do the heavy lifting. Well, like mobility and like flexibility exercises, the more often you can do what we're calling core stability exercises, so not waiting for the gym necessarily, the more often you do them, the greater you'll find your body responding. Most core stabilizing exercises do not require weights at all, at least not at first. Typically, your best methods use your body as the weight and maybe taking yourself off balance, for example. So, really finding 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, or 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there throughout your day is going to be what produces the best results. Here's a quick example. It's an example of prone planking. Prone planking is an excellent stabilizing exercise for your shoulders and your back while engaging your core. Hey, I think it's super important here to stop for a minute to just say that I also love lifting weights. I really do. I love lifting weights. It's just that to safely lift weights, you do need to be sure that keys 4 and 5, that your mobility and your core strength have given you the green light. To lift these 15-pound weights, for example, safely over my head, I need a neck that is stable, a thoracic spine that is supple and mobile, and shoulder blades that glide fully and freely across my upper back. The sixth key focuses on the importance of friends, family, and community. Loneliness and boredom are right up there with being amongst the very worst emotions that we may ever have to deal with. So what can we do? We need a strategy for this part of our third period. Now, I'm a bit of an introvert, believe it or not. Social gatherings can tend to freak me out, and I kind of dread them. I come alive speaking in front of a crowd of 1,000 people, but making small talk in a party of 10 for me is hard. But I did discover pickleball. And there's a very obvious reason why this sport, for example, has become a worldwide phenomenon, kind of overnight. Pickleball has become a phenom because it's not just fun to play. The real gift is the social interaction that it provides. You do not need to be a particularly good athlete to enjoy it, at least on some level. But hey, social interaction, there's going to fitness classes, there's book clubs, there's painting classes, there's community centers. Hey, today's community centers are super inviting and they offer loads of options. So let's go check them out. The seventh key is what I refer to as maintenance and oil changes. And like your car and your technology, your phones and iPads, everything seems to have a shelf life these days. Like your car, you need to regularly take your body in for tune-ups. I'm referring here to your eyes and your ears and your teeth for starters. You may have grown up rarely seeing the doctor or a dentist, but now you do. So, we're going to spend some time walking and talking with my favorite dentists, eye and ear doctors to get to the bottom of why all the sudden changes and what really are the best steps that we can be taking to ensure that we're always ready to play our best. Why not have also a little bit of fun? I had a coach when I was growing up that liked to say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough to win. Well, I'm not sure that coach would have a job today coaching kids, but at the time, he was loved by all of us, and his words really stuck. Hey, there's nothing wrong with washing and polishing your car, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to look our best. Most of us simply want to look as young as we feel. So let's find out how to help make that happen. Well, holy, I'm almost already out of time in this, my very first episode. But before I say goodbye, I would like to share the conclusion of my little poem, If I Was Your Trainer. So tell me what you think of this. We have a choice. We really do, of what we're striving for. Is it muscles that we want to push, and are we all about the core? What if, I ask, we choose instead to insist that it's all right if the scale tips up and down sometimes, and yes, there's cellulite? What if, I ask, as leaders, that we decide the rules? we say posture is the key, and we provide the tools. Rule 1, just move. And 2, just breathe. Rule 3 and 4 and 5, love your spine, your hips and knees. They'll keep your dreams alive. We're not striving for perfection, and we're not saying this must be. It's just that each day you can touch your toes, you're free to squat, to pee. Hey, this much I know is true. Fitness is important. It's an important piece of our aging strategy, but there's more. There's a lot more. So you know what? At 64, this journey feels more important to me than ever. It's our third period. We need a game plan. So let's create that plan together, and let's support each other along the way. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I can't wait to see you in the next episode of Rocking the Ages. I'm Cheryl Soleway.